America's had this philosophy now all these years. Communism has taught all these years capital belongs in the hands of the state, not in the hands of the people. We've been teaching all these years capital belongs in the hands of the people, not in the hands of the state. And we turned out to be right. Capital in the hands of the kids, capital in the hands of the people. Enterprises that make a profit, enterprises that grow. It's the hope of our future. So that little simple formula, I hope, will help you. Now, one more key on financial independence, and that is attitude. Attitude. Here's number one. I used to say, I hate to pay my bills. My teacher straightened me out on that. He said, let's see, Mr. Rohn, what you hate to do is pay $100 on an account and reduce your liabilities and increase your assets. I said, well, no, not if you look at it that way. He said, well, it all depends on how you look at it. So wouldn't you love to pay your bills, reduce your liabilities, increase your assets? You got to have that kind of attitude. I found out the same attitude about taxes. I used to say, I hate to pay my taxes. And Mr. Shove said, well, that's one way to live. But don't you understand? Taxes is how we care and feed the goose that lays the golden eggs. Wouldn't you want to do your share? Someone says, yes, but the goose eats too much. Probably true. But hey, we all eat too much. We all need to go on a diet. Better a fat goose than no goose. So I finally became a happy taxpayer. Now I think taxes are too high, so I'm working to get taxes lowered for our economic future. But then whatever they turn out to be, I gladly pay, do my part, because that's what makes the whole system run, each of us doing our part. We all ask why we should work this hard, why take that many classes, why go to school that many years, why take the notes, why read the books, why work that hard, why put yourself through the push-ups and the disciplines, why? Good question, why? Best answer to why, I think, is the second question. Why not? Why not see how many books you can read, how many classes you can take, how many skills you can develop? Why not see how valuable you can become to the marketplace and to your friends and to your family? Why not see what you can make of yourself? Why not see how far you can go, how much you can see, how much you can earn, how much you can share? Why not? That's the heritage all of us have, in America especially, is to see what we can make out of our lives now that we've been given this extraordinary opportunity. Now, my third question I'd love to ask you in person. And my third question is, why not you? Why not you with good self-esteem? Why not you starting to change and setting goals? Why not you starting to make progress toward financial independence? If I can do it, you can do it. I wished I had a lot more testimonials here today besides mine. A whole steady stream that would come by and tell you their story. Someone who started with nothing, finally run a big enterprise. A mother who was on welfare, now she owns her own business. In addition to my story, I wish I had a lot more. And if all of them told their story, guess how they would probably wind up their story? They'd probably say, just like me, why not you? If we can read, you can read. If we can change, you can change. If we can figure it out, you can figure it out. If we can turn it around, you can turn it around. There isn't anything you can't accomplish. That's what those testimonials would say. And so I want to say it to you personally. Why not you? You've got the brains, you've got the stamina, you've got the vitality, you've got the interest, you've got your life ahead of you, you've got the future. You can do it. If anybody can do it, you can do it. If one of us can do it, hey, we all can do it. And now here's my last question. Why not now? This is a good time as the 20th century starts to wind down, a few more years as we get ready for century 21. What a good time to set your goals, work on yourself, work on your skills. What a good time to get it together. What a good time to start this process. Personal development, growing, changing, developing, having a good plan for your money and for your life and for your future. Why not now?
I think there's a consciousness that we are all a part of, that we all are connected to, that is intelligence, that has a knowing. And I believe at that deepest level, we know everything, because at that deepest level, beyond this physical body, we are everything. And so I think when I experience myself speaking in an audience, when I experience myself speaking as a kid, the best talks I gave was when I wasn't thinking, I wasn't in my mind. And so I can't tell you what it was exactly. I just know it wasn't just my ego mind structure, thinking, making stuff up. And so for me, I've just, the deeper I go, the more I have learned to trust that flow, the more I've learned to trust that intelligence, the more I've learned to just get myself out the way and I think get comfortable with not knowing. I think the degree of freedom we experience in life is also in direct proportion to our ability to be in the unknown and not know. I think so often we're conditioned to know everything. We've got to know who we are, at least who we think we are. We've got to know where we're going. We have to know what's happening. We have to know what's going to happen in 10 years. And the reality is, I think life itself it doesn't mean we can't plan and can't have strategy, but I really have found in my experience of life, I think life itself is way bigger than what we can structure and plan with our minds. And so I think there is a way to plan and strategize, but not get so attached to our idea of how we think life should be and how we think our life is going to work out, and how we think the speech is going to go, as an example, and actually do our best, but also learn to get ourselves out the way. And I think when we really do that, to me, that's a process of just surrendering, the process of allowing life to unfold. And I think the best things, if we look at our lives, I think the best things that happen to us, at least I look at my life, the best things that happen to me are things that I could not have planned. The best things, the women I fell in love with, the people that impacted my life the most. I don't know if you plan to meet your wife on an exact day at an exact time, but I think these amazing things happen when we're open and when we're available. And so I've just learned to cultivate a relationship with life, to just be open and available to more. And I've just found that life often works out, if I'm really available, beyond what I can imagine, beyond what I can plan. And so I love living in that zone. To me, I call that a zone of magic, a zone of miracles, and so.
So exercise is really important. Lastly, I really want people to have a brain wash day, at least once a week. So in the last couple of years, we've learned that there is a lymph system in the brain called the lymphatic system. And no one actually believed it existed, but now it exists. And the brain actually, in deep sleep, which happens very early in the sleep cycle, goes through a literal wash cycle. It shrinks by about 20%. And all of these toxins, like amyloid, like tau, like bad pieces of protein, are actually squeezed out of the brain, like wringing out a sponge. And it happens in deep sleep, and it happens early in the sleep cycle. So we have to have a lot of blood flow to our brain to do that. The brain uses huge amounts of blood flow, but we have to have even more. So the evidence is that you need about a 3 or 4 hour window before the last meal of your day, before you go to sleep. Why? Because digestion is actually really energy expensive. So we put huge amounts of blood flow down into our gut. If you eat near the time you go to bed, that blood flow is down in your intestines and it doesn't go up to your brain. So there's actually a recent study of men who had unstable angina or heart attack, and they followed those men who ate late at night had a much higher incidence of a new angina or new heart attack. And so they're all really actually interconnected. So one day a week, I ask people, finish your last meal at 6 o'clock. If you go to bed at, say, 10.
Right.
If it's 11, finish it at 7. Do not snack before bedtime. And allow yourself to have a brain wash. Better yet, skip a meal. And that gets in probably to the fourth point. You've got to have periods of extended lengths of time between eating. We were supposed to go prolonged periods of time before our next meal. And break fast, we've talked about this before, it ruins your morning stuff, was you break your fast. And there's no definition of when it's supposed to be breakfast. Right. That was from the dear old Kellogg's Cornflake Company telling people they had to eat breakfast.
One of the lines from right out of the 5 a.m. Club is one of the DNAs of legendary is longevity. So if you look at the Picassos, the Jean-Michel Basquiat, you look at the great sports champions, you look at the great history makers, they were much better at energy management than time management. And so we're in a war against distraction right now, and what we really have to do is optimize our energy. How do I do it? Well, I mean, I get to the morning routine, which the whole book is based on. But it's really quite powerful, because if you start your day with sweaty exercise.
The magic of thinking big. This was recommended to me by one of the most successful product designers and licensors in the world. Millions of dollars a year, licensing to people like Nestle, Coca-Cola, etc. The magic of thinking big. So many people procrastinate because their goals lack balls, quite frankly. Their goals are just uninspiring. They're intended to be realistic, and therefore they don't motivate you to plow through or dodge the inevitable hurdles and emotional difficulty and ups and downs that you'll face. And the example that sometimes I give is, the trip to whatever, pick a city, no matter what I pick, I'm going to insult somebody. Let's say trip to Cincinnati for the weekend, or a trip to the Greek islands. All right, so the trip to Cincinnati might be more realistic in terms of cost and logistics, attainable perhaps. It's more likely to get put off in many cases because it's simply uninspiring to most people. Greek islands, all right, you'll put your head down.
You must come up with a morning routine that you do every single morning, or at least more mornings than not, that puts you in control of yourself and in control of your day. This is what I do, and I cannot explain the power that I get from starting my day off and being bigger than my excuses and being in control. First and foremost, wake up on time. When that alarm goes off, get your butt out of bed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Why is that important for persistence?
I went to Dallas after college because a bunch of my buddies were down there, and I got a job working as a bartender at night and was looking for a job during the day, and got a job working for a retail software company. And this was in the early days of PCs, and was doing okay there. And then about 9 months in, I was living 6 guys in a 3-bedroom apartment.